Well, good afternoon. No? Good afternoon. Thank you for all the comments, okay? Let me start today. Yeah, there. Look, today I'm going to share my past experience implementing an operational excellence model in different operations during my 15 years. Part of that when we started in Coca-Cola, when we designed this model, and then in Constellation Brands, where I adapted, okay, adjust all the model for the breweries, and always with the purpose to enhance agility, reducing cost, and improve efficiencies. One of the things is we are going to explain the three phases that you need to consider from the concept to the execution in this journey to the excellence. And then I will, at the end of my presentation, I will explain or share some digitalization initiatives that we implemented during these years at the breweries that support all this strategy. Before the video, let me mention the beginning of the starting point of this new model. Many years ago, when I was in Coca-Cola, FEMSA, my boss at that time told me, we need to do something completely transformational for the supply chain. And there was a reason behind that, because in Coca-Cola FEMSA, we were working with training people in what we call high-performance team. But 15 years later, when you analyze what happened, we discovered that a high percentage of the people had left the company. So the company spent millions of dollars in training program for nothing, okay? So that called our attention. So we organized a visit to different facilities in Europe to visit the benchmark industries to see different and learn different operational models at that time that were benchmark. And there is one of the facilities from Coca-Cola England, that called our attention. And I want to show you this short video. This was an old plant in north of London, Edmonton. Exists as a facility of 40 years old. This video was taken 12 years ago, okay? But if you see machines from 10, 20 years old, but something very important in this video, no people at the shop floor. Nobody. Nobody is nobody. And so, well, there is, no. There is a, let me check. There is a slide that is missing. Well, something important. The first question is, what operational model is behind it? And we ask other questions, okay? What kind of discipline, conditions, skills of the people, level of automation, quality of the materials really are required to obtain this status. This facility performs at 86, 87% of OEE at that moment, without people there. But the people are there. They are not in the shop floor, but they are in office, looking trends with the screens, working all together, and they go only for the startup or 30, if there is a downtime, they go there and fix it, okay? But when you reach 87% of OEE, believe me, that you don't need to touch any machines and you don't need the operators or the people in front of a machine running at that level of performance. So you need to change completely the skills of the people. And that is the big challenge that we discover that we need. You need to create this condition, you need to change a complete management system. So at that moment, we sent to this facility a group of experts from Coca-Cola, belongs to my group and other divisions across Latin America, to spend 2-3 weeks there to understand completely the model, to understand all the variables that are there. And something that we discover is that we analyze all the information from many, many months, and with all the visits that we did at that moment, we discovered 20 best practices, okay, that are common in all these facilities that we visit in Europe. So let me start with this. The first, starting with the concept, we talk about people. So we learned that we need to strengthen the technical and human capabilities. And the pillar that drives this is the talent management. And we organize all the information in these concepts. One of the things is we classify these best practices, and in the case of people, we identify that it's key to put the right people in the right positions. That is key. You need to do an assessment of all the people and all the crews that you have in your facility. You need to identify the leadership, which people have the attitude and which are really leaders. You need to motivate and engage the people, and for that you need to have all human resource department, okay, supporting all this with training programs. You need to put the people on board, really. The other is the empower and inspire the people. And when we talk about empower, in this visit is to delegate the accountability to the lower levels. So it's very important to maintain the top leadership at the facility, more in strategic things, and delegate completely the responsibilities to the lower level. But for that, you need to train those people. So you need to improve the skills of the people. And that means from the general manager up to the operator. You need to improve all the levels, the different levels. The second concept that we include is technology. And here we learned another 5 best practices. The first one, simplify and standardize the technology. I visit many facilities around the world that is the fair of the industry with all the OEMs, okay, and that makes a complexity. So you need to really reduce the complexity of layouts, flows of materials, flows of people inside the facility, because I was in charge of the biggest facility of Coke around the world, and the brewery of Constellation Brands is the largest brewery of the world, with 35 million hectoliters per year. It's huge. The loading area is 1.5 kilometers, okay? So we load 38 rail cars at the same time, okay? 220 LGVs. So it's huge, okay? So you need to reduce the complexity of those facilities if you want to implement these systems, of these models. The third one is smart automation. You can spend a lot of money in automation, but at the end you need to analyze an ROI and you need to be smart. Which things of automation really add value and which are not, and it's a nice to have. The other is very important, the just-in-time information. That is key to have all the systems, and many of the the speakers here during these 2 days mentioned all this data analysis, and to have real-time information to take quick decisions in the lower level. And the last one is reliable equipment. No, you can put robots, but you need to analyze case by case. The third concept is process management. And here the driver is operational excellence and the service level agreement between areas, between maintenance and production, between quality, and also with planning and logistics. Everything have to put very clear the responsibilities. So you need to define perfectly the KPIs. You need to put focus on results. You need to put focus in reduce cost and waste. Something that is key in my experience is you need to improve the discipline. You need to put order. You need to put really discipline and work in the disciplines and routines at the level of the shop floor. Then, when I talk about reduced variability, that is very, very important in a process, in any industrial process, is to identify which are the critical processes that you have on the systems. And there, you put focus there. And you, instead of putting additional controls from the quality team, you can spend your time more in statistics, okay? To see the CPK of the processes, to try to reduce it, and put the 1.33 above that, and you make sure that your processes is under control completely, and you can reduce any frequency of controls. So if you specify your critical process and you work on that in statistics, you are on the other side. Then the sense of urgency. What we learned is many decades ago, when I was in Coke, 25 years, no? I remember that there was a breakage, and it's normal 4 hours, 5 hours for a palletizer, for a filler. If you want to reach 87% of performance, that is impossible, okay? That is a root cause analysis if you have more than 60 minutes, okay? And you need to create the culture that the people at the shop floor needs to have the sense of urgency. Every minute counts. Then the other concept that we incorporate is innovation and sustainability. And you need to create the good place to work. And not, when I talk about this, it's not the offices, okay? It's a great place to work everywhere. It's green areas, good dining rooms, good restroom for the people, good layouts from the main entrance up to the check-in points. Great place to work is for all the people of the facility. Be friendly with the environment, okay? Be in compliance with the waste treatment plan, then also with the recycled materials. You need to be in compliance to create, let's see, green areas, to be more friendly inside the facilities. Be a best neighbor community, no? And there are a lot of actions and let's say initiatives, okay, with the community, but you need to be friendly and you need to help the community where you operate. And the other that we learned is a good wellness program. That is key, and somebody yesterday mentioned the relationship between a wellness program and safety conditions. Look, during COVID period, that was a very challenged period for us. When we identify all the checkups for all the people, we discovered that 52% of the people, they were not in healthy conditions. There are obesity grade A, B, and C, cancer, high pressure, and we need to remove from the lines all those people, okay, to preserve it in a COVID situation and send it home, paying their salary for 1 year. And we introduce a program, okay, for exercise and put all the people in conditions, okay, during a period of time of 2 years, okay. There are a lot of learning, okay. I remember also my boss, the CEO of Coca-Cola FEMSA in Mexico, that mentioned in an annual meeting to all the executive people, okay, that we were 180 directors and vice presidents at that moment, and he mentioned, I need you in healthy conditions. And he created, you are very expensive, they said. I can have the possibility that most of you have an accident, an incident, okay, and you are not productive. And he installed a program that called Benefit, that in every annual meeting, you need to have all your labs analysis, okay? You have obtained points, if you have higher cholesterol or not, high pressure, and also you need to do exercise in front of doctors that evaluate you, your condition, running, push-ups, everything. And you obtain some points, and if you are above the minimum, okay, you obtain a bonus of $2,000 that you can go to a sport store to buy a bicycle or something to motivate, okay, the program, okay? That program exists in the last 15 years. So let me share this framework. At the end, we designed this framework for the concept, including the 20 best practices, okay? But something is missing here, and we incorporate the culture, okay? The quality culture to put focus in 0 defects, okay? So when you communicate to the people, you say you need to perform with 0 defects. Also, safety culture with 0 accidents, and the legal culture of non-complaints. That gives us the north, okay, for a program that can reach the excellence, okay? And that was the starting point. But then you have the design. And our experience about the design is, the first bullet that I put here is think as a greenfield. This is a good exercise for projects, for example, not to put the constraint that you have today in the facility. If you have the opportunity to really build a new facility, a new layout, a new line, a new process, that is your north. And then you put the restrictions and you close the gaps, okay? That helps a lot because facilitate the process of thinking, okay, and to, let's say, find solutions. So let's start in the design process. Let me share, the first thing is a structure, okay? You need to simplify categories. And on the shop floor, our experience is from the team leader up to the operator, 4 levels, no more than that, and try to strategically maintain the unionized people in the lower level, that is the base of the pyramid, okay? But in a relationship that the top of the pyramid can be 70% and 30% unionized people. It's a challenge, really, to do that. You need to negotiate that with the unions, okay? More in Latin America, I don't know other parts of the world. But that, if you have the control of the facility. If something happened with the unions and want to make a strike, you have the control of 70% of the people. And that is part of a strategic of the people, of the process, of this model. Then define very clear the roles and the responsibilities. We asked some tests, okay, during this process, during the design, and we asked to the people, can you tell me your responsibility? Your job description, where you obtain your salary every month? The people, they don't know really their responsibilities. So we reinforce that, okay? And we provide all the job description, again, to all the different levels. One of the secret of this model is that we switch from a traditional model where you have production, maintenance, and quality, and we change to another functionality that is manufacturing, that now the operator there, the technician that we call, operates, maintain, control, and improve. And there is a transfer of knowledge from the people from maintenance, okay, in the execution part to the manufacturing area. So the manufacturing service area now is a support area, more strategic, that is more dedicated to do all the predictive and preventive maintenance, okay? and all the reliability analysis, okay, with all the data that comes from the lines. Then you can put AI and something there. The quality changed to quality assurance. So the people there from quality assurance define the standards, the certifications, all the specs, and they have a huge work, because when I mention to reach 86, 87%, it's not only to be very precise in your preventive and predictive maintenance. You need the quality of materials with very accuracy, short, really in specs, because if you don't receive the materials in the spec that you needed, you have downtimes. And that, in many occasions, they subestimate, and you need to work with the different suppliers. And the other area that is very important is the continuous improvement. We create that with a director, you can put a managers, where you create all the Lean Six Sigma programs from improvements during this process. Then the routines. I mentioned that the disciplines and the routines are key. So we define, and we have the support from a European company called FESO that provide these 5 systems, okay, related with changeovers. Centerline, that has all the adjustments. Root cause analysis, any failure more than 60 minutes is a root cause analysis. The TAC, that is for preventive maintenance. And the SEAL, that is a routine, a basic routine of cleaning, inspection, lubrication, and tightens. So we work with all the people at the shop floor in all these initiatives, in these 5 systems during 1 year, 1.5 years. Imagine the brewery has 3,000 people, so it's huge, okay? So to cover all the people, and you need to put 2 emphasis in this. The last one is the measurement, okay? And here there is an example about how you need to report. You need to define the KPIs, but the idea is to report it in a graphic way. I don't like tables with numbers, okay? So this is very easy to see, and you have an example here of consumer complaints. You put the goal, you are coming, you know where you started 3 years ago, then every year at the beginning of the year, you negotiate all the KPIs with the teams and also with the unions, and you have all the targets very clear from the very beginning. And then the teams are improving and improving, and you have, in a very graphic way, all the trends. Also, with the statistics that we had from previous year, we define with a formula, statistically, which is the probably target for this fiscal year. And we did it with all the KPIs, for all the production cells. The other is the incentive performance. Look, when you install these kind of models, you need to put the carrot, okay, there. You need to put something that motivates the people. My perspective, and that is a huge discussion with HR in the payroll, okay, because you increase 20, 25% the payroll in these incentive programs. But really, you have payback. If you invest $2 million, you will receive 20. And I have that experience that multiplied by 10 or more. So we define an incentive program very simple, okay, with this relationship that we put a factor, okay? It's 6 KPIs related with the production cell that is aligned, or utilities, or wastewater treatment plant, or quality. And 4 of those KPIs are related with their controls, and the rest are 2 KPIs related with the facility, to work together, okay, with the other teams. And then you pay, this is quarterly, okay, so there is a range. The target is 100%, and we put in the forecast, okay, in our budget, okay, 105, 107. So in order to pay more, and you need to adjust the target so the people really feels motivated when they are above the target, okay? And you need to preserve that. We have some special situation where the people perform below 100 or below 80s. And if you perform below 80, they not receive bonus in that quarter, okay? So the rules are very clear that they need to be positive, good attitude, and the target needs to be achievable, okay? Then talking about execution, the first thing is training. So we put 3 steps, okay? More the soft training related with level 1, that is more related with the quality culture, safety culture, leadership, taking decisions for the people. Then there is a second level, more technical, okay? Related with all the OEMs and transfer the knowledge from the OEMs to the people. And then a third level that is more specific for electronics and reliability to maintain the critical equipment with all the knowledge at home, no? In-house. We create the Center of Excellence, okay? I invest $1 million at the breweries, where there we have all the training program for the people, okay? Electronic, hydraulic explosions, we can simulate every safety conditions, okay? We can do it there. And also with the continuous improvement department, all the methodology of DMIC, okay, of Lean Six Sigma, to continuously improve, and we define at the beginning of the year more or less more than 5, 6 projects where the teams work, okay, and we have quarterly some checkpoints in order to give them feedback, okay, and guidelines. Then the execution. This is something that provides FSO also, that is called the infinity loop, where you define the targets points, the annual strategic targets, and then you convert it in operative, okay, and you have the loop of improve and then sustain and control. No, to identify, eliminate, and prevent losses. This is something very important. There are a lot of materials around this initiative, okay, that FSO provide us, and we work in this as a continuous improvement methodology. Let me mention some digitalization initiatives. When I talk about just-in-time information, we talk about to put scoreboards and kiosks that are big, let's say, screens like tablets, where the people can know perfectly the performance every minute. And we put it strategically, the OEE and the amount of cases that they are producing every minute, okay? Because I mentioned before that every minute counts. So we need to provide to the people that they are going well or not, or if they need to accelerate or not, okay, during the shift or during the week, okay, or during the day. We have Traxis where we have all the PLCs where we provide the information and goes to this kiosk. And if you want to analyze, if you have a big, let's say not a big, a short downtime, you can go to these scoreboards and look at there and see where is the opportunity, okay? Then with the routines, that it was something with Parsable, okay, that we put tablets, industrial tablets, to have all the routines digitalized. And so if you put any message that is connected with the PM of SAP, so we digitalize and we control and we support that, all the information. The second initiative is more related with predictive maintenance. We decided with another American company called Traction that provides sensors for vibration and temperature. And we defined 600 equipments that are critical equipment, and we installed 1,500 sensors to provide all the activity for predictive maintenance for all these machines. Also, the idea in the future is to connect with AI to really analyze that information, okay, and receive feedback from that, in not to have a big breakage, okay. The analysis that we did is we obtained savings for $1 million per year. Then the 3D printer is an experiment, okay? We replaced around 1,100 components or spare parts, okay? That are very simple, pinions, plastic components, insert levers, okay? And we obtain also savings and quick response. The other that we put these simulators, and we put it in the center of excellence. The breweries are so huge that if you need to expand or modify trajectories of the LGVs, before do it in the industrial scale, we put a simulator in this center, and you can simulate everything there. Also, it happened the same with the breweries, okay, with the brewing simulator. If you need to change let's say a recipe, you can do it before you put it in the industrial scale. The other is the traceability program. When you work in Coke, on Corona, Modelo, they are worldwide brands. If something happened on the market, today with the social media, you immediately, around the world, they know what happened. So you need to react quickly. A few years ago, we spent 2 days to understand where is the product, okay, in problem. Now with this system, 4 minutes. Okay. Lesson learned. You need to spend time in design, feedback from the stakeholders, HR and IT, they are key areas that needs to support. You need to create a logo, okay? In the case of the brewery, we put brew as an operational excellence, all the playbook. You need to write everything, all the processes, all the procedures, okay, that you are doing. Effective communications, continuous follow-up during this process that takes years, okay? Good recognition programs, that is key, okay? If the teams really perform very well, you need to have this recognition and reward programs. And something that is a dilemma, and that is coming from Coke. Safety, quality, volume, cost are all important, all important. But there is a confusion when there is this pressure, okay, and something is wrong, or they have to take a decision. And we put some very important rules. And the rules is first safety, second quality, volume, and the last one cost, okay? That is a rule, and we communicate that if an operator needs to stop until if they perceive unsafety conditions. Real improvement, this is my last slide. Real results at the breweries after 5 years of implementation. 35% of productivity, 10% of throughput. We improve 80% safety conditions. Quality, 75%, not related with quality inside the breweries, is complaints, okay, and the market. 13% conversion costs, 30% wastages. The water index and the energy index, we improved 10%, and we save around 120, let's put it, $1 million in a period of 5 years. So this is my presentation. Thank you very much.
We'll have time for one question, and then whoever wants to connect during lunch, we'll have more opportunity. So any question before we break? One question from here.
Carlos, you mentioned all your strategy and all. Thank you. Carlos, very interesting your presentation. I got one question. All the strategy, or main part of the strategy is based on people, right? And especially now, currently, we're facing a big challenge in terms of the turnover, especially with the new generation people that stay 6 months and they go because some pain is across the street in another facility or whatever. So what will be, based on your long experience, your recommendation in terms how to mitigate the people turnover versus the cost of training that you already invest in them when they left?
Look, my experience is you need to motivate, you need to be attractive, okay, for those people, compared with other industries. Strategically, with HR, we define, is the case of Coca-Cola and Constellation Brands, no? That are very representative companies. You need to pay 20–25% more compared with the market. It's the only way to maintain the people and to reduce the turnover, but you need to provide other conditions, okay? The meals, let's say, for the dining room, buses to pick up the people, and other benefits that the people appreciate, okay, in order to maintain and continues in the company. But the case of Constellation Brands, that is in the border, okay, of Mexico and the US, you have a lot of problem because you train people, okay, but you pay salaries. It's very easy to cross to Eagle Pass from Piedras Negras, and they have, for less efforts, okay, double the salary, okay? So the people cross. So that is impossible to maintain. There is a big difference between the economy of Mexico and the north of Mexico and the US. So you can put all these kind of things, but we have 10% of turnover every year.
Carlos, it was a great, great presentation. So one is, remind me a lot of things that I've seen and experienced, and in equal condition, everybody wants to work in this place that you described, no? Your life is much easier when you have long mean time between failures, we have reliable equipment, we have people that value how you work, no? I remember that I had a boss in the past. He was a vice president, and there are two things that I recall from him. One is, if you don't have 85% OE and over 120 minutes MTBF, you are disinvited for the meeting. You don't come to the meeting.
Yeah.
You don't have the right to participate in the meeting. So focus on the basic for your work.
We put a KPI that measures the ramping up. So in less than 4 hours, when you start the line, you need to reach 85%.
Yeah. And the other one was, he being a vice president, he invited me for lunch, and the way out, he was greeting everybody in the room. And then he talked to Maria, and Maria was the person that was cleaning the restroom, the toilet. And he said, Maria, how is your kids? Are they better from the bronchitis? Bronchitis. And then I said, okay, so I want to be this kind of person. No, I want to be this type of leader that care about, and you mentioned about, you have to have a great place to work.
That's correct.
Thank you.
When I walk around the facilities, really, believe me, I go to the operator on the filler and say hello, and I call him with his name. Thank you.
Great, great work.